Hi, this is Shauna from the Foiled Fox, and I'm here on Paper Tray Ink and Ink to Papers YouTube channel once again. And there's a brand new release. They just keep coming, and so we're going to share some of those products. And the first thing here is the Vase Collection 1. This has this wonderful vase that has the die, and it has the nice detail on that die. And then you can see it has a solid stamp and the detail of a detail stamp. Then I'm going to also be using this Dainty Deliveries frame. You've seen this before, but it's a great frame, so I'm going to be using that. And then I'm also going to be using another one that you've seen before, which is Vintage Flair. This one before I had used the terrarium, or you could call it a cage. You've seen me use it a few times, but now I'm going to be using the roses. I've never used the roses in this, and they're fabulous. So all in all, this is a great set. And then it has the matching die set that cuts out everything, and I'm just concentrating on the roses for this project. And then one more item that I'm going to be using is brand new, which is called Perfect Pairings. This one's Essentials. There's a Perfect Pairing Commodities. This is Perfect Pairing Essentials, and it has the words that are big that you can cut out here. Here's the die, but it also has companion sentiment strips. So it's a fabulous set together. Highly recommend it. But I'm going to start with the Dainty Daisies and use a piece of smoky shadow paper. I'm going to use my rubber mat because I'm not going to cut out. This will cut out that center, but I don't want it to cut out. I just want it to emboss. So I'm going to use that mat on my die cutting machine and see how that just embossed that pattern so beautifully. Hard to see on the dark surface, but the dark is great. And then I have a white card base that I'm using. I'm going to apply some double stick tape here with my big runner. I like to have lots of double stick tape available. And then I'm going to just adhere that right to the top of the card base. The next thing, so you can see that rectangle that normally would be cut out. I'm going to put a piece of heavy white cardstock there. So I just measured that little space, and I'm just going to stick that in there. That way, on this dark background, I have a little bit of contrast, and it'll allow everything to kind of pop. So now the next thing, after I've set that aside, I have a piece of heavy white cardstock. I'm going to cut out the vase, and see all the wonderful detail. With that, you can, I don't know if you can see it really well, but it has these great lines to it. I'm going to use Blueberry Sky. This is a Paper Tray ink cube, and I'm using just a small blending brush. And I'm just going to apply the color all the way around. I'm not going to apply any color to the center. I want that to be kind of a highlight, but I am adding it on the sides and on the top and bottom, but particularly the top and bottom. But I'm just going to go around these edges and just darken them. It takes a little bit. I do like to leave it in this negative space, but I am going to take it out here because I can really get to the edges. And I'm going to add more intensity to the bottom and the edges of everything. But see there, I left all that open just for the reflection. It gives it a little bit more interest, but I'm using the detail stamp now, using the exact same color, not changing colors, and I'm going to ink it up really well, and then I'm going to impress it, and I turn on my light box because I can really see the outline. You can see that. You really see the outline, so you know what your position is. So there you can see it has the detail, has the highlight. I put some foam tape on the back, kind of bent it around, give it a little bit of dimension. We're going to set that aside, and now I have some, this is hot press watercolor paper. You can use the cold press if you want, and it would have more texture. And I'm going to cut out all of those flowers. Now I'm going to show you, I cut these out on white cardstock, and I used a variety that was with Pure Poppy. This one is with Autumn Rose, and then I used Raspberry Fizz. Just wanted to show you what it looks like, and then I used Copic markers to color it in. Or you could use colored paper and then stamp it. I just like the watercolory look, so we're going to go that route, and I'm going to use one of my new faves, which is a Karen marker. These are watercolor markers. You can see I've used them before, so everything is, all my stamps are rosy red. But all you do is color these in, and this is watercolor. Fabulous because you have so much control over it. I can just put that red exactly where I want it and the green exactly where I want it and nowhere else. And it's a great, and it blends really beautifully too, and you'll see that in a minute. But I'm just going to color this foliage in. I'm not using the vase for this. I just want some of the bits of the foliage, and you'll see what I mean. I did cut out 2 of everything. You never know how many you're going to need. So I cut out 2 of all of the roses and 2 of this vase and 2 of what was available for the leaves. Now you can see I've got a tiny brush and I'm just dipping it in water. I don't make it real wet, just a dab. And I'm blending out these colors. There's so much ink on here that I really don't need to add, but if I want to add, I can. So I can just put here, flick it a little bit, just in the more shaded areas, and then I can blend it out. You can also put another color on top of it as well. There's so many things you can do, but I find that when I use these, I need very few markers to accomplish what I want to get done. And you can see I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the flowers. I do all the flowers like this. I have that stamp that I colored with the marker, and I'm going to color another one, and you can see it's just make sure you get marker everywhere. And now I'm going to take my damp brush, don't drown it, just a damp brush, just a little bit of water, and I'm just taking the ink that's from what I stamped. And if I want to, I can use a little bit darker color to add a little bit of accent and then blend it in. Or I can use more of the same color and add some darkness to it, just in the shading areas. Just giving a little bit of contrast, but you don't even need to do that. And I'm coloring all the way to the edges because I want it to seem like colored paper. But the thing is why I like these watercolor. Colored paper works very nicely. And sometimes I have to remember that more often. But I just am so stuck on watercolory looks that I love coloring it and putting my own kind of shading in there. And I can choose my own intensity. And it's not all the same. So that's the biggest reason why I use this, but there's nothing wrong with using colored paper and then using these stamps and stamping your roses. It's whatever you like. Now there's these 2 leaves. They're kind of funny shaped leaves, but in the end they turn out really neat. And so I have a green marker, and I'm just going to mark up the little veining. And then I'm going to pull the color from where the veining is, and I'm going to bring that color out in the leaves. But I'm going to wait a minute because I want it to dry a little bit, set a little bit, so that it doesn't completely bleed. And this will give me time to go back and do all these different roses. I'm just adding a little bit of detail with that darker marker. You can see I'm only using 3 markers here. Don't even need that. You can use 2. They're wonderful though. They do come in a variety of colors. You can find them on foilfox.com. So you can pop over there. We're thrilled with them. And I think you would be too. They come in all different sets. So you can choose which one works best for you. I'm going to just color in these leaves. And now with that done, we are ready to arrange. So I had the the vase there that had the foam tape on it, and I stuck it down kind of in there in the corner. I have some foam tape on most of these flowers, and I'm just going to do some arranging. Now these, I'm going to do a little surgery. I want some little bits of foliage, and I want those little buds that stick up. So I'm saving those. Gonna just accent these a little bit, give them a little bit more pizzazz. Blend them out with a brush. And then I'm going to continue on. This is back to being a florist. I wished I would have paid more attention because it would really come in handy if I had some florist skills. But we're going to do our best to put these in. And I chose roses. I want to tell you that particularly this color, because I have lots of roses in my garden, and they happen to be my favorite flower. And so I wanted to replicate a wonderful bouquet that I made out of for my home, sitting in my living room, that was out of my own roses in my own garden. So I'm just kind of replicating that, sticking those in there, here and there, one kind of on top of one another, and then I'm going to stick in a little bit of these leaves, arrange them, and once I think I've got it the way I want it, then I'm going to take off the release tape and put glue where I need to, like on the leaves. That does not have foam tape, but most of these flowers do, because I want a little bit of dimension to them. So it's just a matter of moving them where you think you would like to have them. It's not any different than if you have flowers from the garden you bring in and want to arrange them in your vase. So this is, of course, where I do my most fiddling, because getting these flowers just right and tucking them in here and there always is a challenge. I'm going to stick in a little bit of foliage here. And these leaves, the leaves really do kind of pull it all together. So I'm very pleased with them. And I'm very pleased with having those little buds from that vase display. So there, that's all done. I'm going to now go on to the sentiment. This is where I'm using the perfect pairs. I'm going to cut out the word hello. And I've got a piece of white cardstock. I use bits and pieces, so I cut it out, and I put some repositionable tape on there. And then I'm positioning that hello just perfectly over the cutout. That's the real advantage. You have the chance to get it just perfect, instead of like me, where if I did it the other way, where I stamped it and then did the die, then I'll cut off part of it. Or if I did the die and I didn't use a stamp positioner, then I'd probably not get it centered right. But this gives me perfect placement every time. And the advantage is I can make sure it gets really nice and dark, because I did have to stamp it a few times. I was using True Black for that. Again, another paper tray ink cube. And now I put a little bit of foam tape on this word, and at the very end where it laps over the vase, I'm going to add just a touch of glue. And I'm going to press this into place. And I just think that really just just finishes it off. But we're going to do one more thing. I think it needs just a few of these enamel dots. These are Red Cosmos by Altenew, and I'm just using a variety of them, a variety of sizes, and I'm just going to stick them here and there. I think that it kind of pulls out the display and kind of brings your eye all the way around to the card. And here it is, all done. I just love these roses because they're so cheery, and it is like in my own garden. And it's hard to get really nice roses, and I think these are fabulous. The other great thing is this is a pretty easy card to put together, and who wouldn't love to have these? You could put a happy birthday sentiment on it, or any sentiment that you wanted, and you would be all set. So, and you could use any color scheme too. You don't need to use that dark background if you don't want, or the roses and the vase could be any color that you would like. So it has plenty of versatility. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I enjoyed being with you today. Here are a few things that I use: the vintage Flair stamp and die set, the dainty deliveries frame, the vase collection 1 stamp and die set, that's new, and the perfect pairings essentials stamp and die set, that's new too. You can find it over at blog.inktopaper.com, or don't forget to go to foilfox.com. We have everything there, those markers and all the stamps and dies and all of the glue and all those goodies if you can't find it there at Ink to Paper. I want to thank you so much again for being with me today. I hope if you did enjoy it, you would give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And we will see you next time. Bye.